The Champions League is back on Tuesday night and it is a star-studded lineup, so here are my quarter-final predictions. Start off with one of the most interesting games, which is Arsenal-Bayern Munich. It's probably the first time, at least in my lifetime, where Arsenal are going in against Bayern Munich, the clear favourites. And I can only see this ending one way, really. I think Arsenal found the form. I do think they've got the best defence in the world, at least definitely in England, obviously. I think they're the best out-of-possession team, off-the-ball team in the world. They are just fantastic. I think they suffocate teams. I think that back four, when they play of Kylian, Gabriel, Saliba and Ben White, I love the four centre-back. Erling Haaland could just get no joy from them because they were so dominant in the air and they just let him have no space, which I can see them doing to Harry Kane. Even though they've been scoring goals, I don't think Arsenal have been fantastic in the final third this year. I think Bakayo Saka has had a good season, but I don't think he's got going to what we expect from him, and obviously Martinelli has not been at his best this season. However, Kai Havertz, and fair play to him because I doubted him massively. He has seemed to pull it together and he's a massive part of that Arteta system now. And obviously with Gabriel Jesus, they're getting the squad depth back. Smith Rowe's coming back in. I love Smith Rowe. I think he's a fantastic player who's been underrated in the last couple of years. But yeah, Arsenal are going to smash this in my opinion. Harry Kane obviously is world class. I believe Leroy Sané is back in training for Bayern, as is Manuel Neuer. It will be massive for them and they desperately need them obviously because the league is just out of reach now. They can't win the cup and the Champions League is basically the only thing leaving Thomas Tuchel in a job. So final prediction, I think they'll do them at the Emirates 2-0 and then I think they'll do them at the Allianz 2-1. Let's go for PSG Barcelona next, and it's a big game on paper. I think both clubs aren't at the best in recent years. Barca seem to have been getting it back in La Liga at the moment. They've caught Girona up, and to be fair, they're only 8 points off the top of the league. So if Real Madrid have a few wobbles in the last 7 or 8 games, you never know what could happen. But I think the league's probably out of reach. Champions League, again, is out of reach. I mean, they haven't got Gavi for the rest of the season. Pedri is a bit of a miss at the moment, but I think he might be back for at least the second leg. But this is Xavi, apparently it's his last season. Obviously he announced it earlier on in the year, but you never know, he might do a U-turn. And people forget they still have a star-studded squad. PSG, on the other hand, it's Mbappe's probably last season with PSG, so they're obviously going to want to win it so they can prove the project wasn't a complete failure. And it'll be seen as a success if he does win it because people just remember the last thing that has happened in PSG's history. But I don't know if PSG can get past Barcelona. I actually am going to pick them. I think Mbappe is just so good. He's the best player in the world. And I think he's going to turn up in his last season for his boyhood team. But they are missing, I believe, Bakayo at the moment, the left winger. And he looks like a great impact player. He played really well against Sociedad in the second tie. I think he won them the game, actually. But obviously having no Kimpembe, and I don't think Marquinhos will be fit for at least the first leg. So that's a huge miss in the back line for them. But I think PSG will scrape this just because Barca don't have that new camp advantage. They're playing in the Olympic Stadium. And I think PSG will win 2-1 at home and then probably a 1-1 draw in Barcelona. Dortmund Athletico next, and probably the lesser stated tie in this competition. Dortmund luckily got PSV in the last round, who actually just smashed Ajax 6-0 the other day. But Dortmund, if they played any other team really, they would have probably been out of the competition. However, they did surprise everyone in the group of death. Newcastle, Milan, PSG and Borussia Dortmund. I think they did look really good in there. And I think if they would like anyone, it would be Athletico Madrid because, in my opinion, Atletico, especially in that first leg at the San Siro against Milan, they were not playing well. And obviously Depay is out, I believe, for the season now. So that's a huge miss for the club. But luckily they scraped it through in the second leg against Inter. But on another day, Inter Milan just finished all those chances. Lautaro Martinez, I mean, if there's any Italian fans watching, I'm sure you might think he's great in the league. Every time I see him, he looks awful. I mean, he's just so wasteful in front of goal. And I personally think he cost Inter Milan going through to the next round because he just misses so many chances. However, obviously other people to blame, but I think Atletico will get through this round. I think Simeone knows what to do. I think he's been in 2 finals now, losing against Madrid both times, but still I think Simeone will get them through. I think they'll scrape a draw maybe in Dortmund and they'll take it back to the second leg, which I think will help them in Madrid. And I think they'll probably win 2-0. And then next we probably have the blockbuster tie of the round. We've got Real Madrid versus Manchester City. They seem to play each other quite a lot recently. Obviously Real Madrid got the better of them a couple of years ago. City obviously smashed them last year when they beat them 4-0, which is maybe the most dominant performance I've ever seen from a Champions League side against Real Madrid. It's a tough one this because City, I don't think they've been playing at the best. I mean, obviously they've still been playing great. They're challenging for the title still. But I've seen Man City play a lot better. If they can get into that higher gear, then they will win this tournament by all means. And I think having Phil Foden, I mean, he's in banging form. It's great for England for the Euros. And De Bruyne was excellent against Crystal Palace the other day. They need them two going because I think those two then unlock Erling Haaland. And when you have Haaland unlocked, I think it's a wrap basically. Kyle Walker will be a miss, I think, because Rico Lewis will not be able to defend against Vinicius Jr. And I believe there's a few Man City players on a yellow who might be suspended for the next game. I think Ruben Diaz is, so they'll have to be careful because Ake is still out at the moment. But I think City are finding a bit more of a groove recently. I think Gvardiol's been excellent recently. And if they can get maybe Doku and Grealish back in form, they've obviously got the players to do it. They just need to really get going again. And obviously, you look at Real Madrid, top of La Liga at the moment, 8 points clear. They do need Thibaut Courtois back in net. I think he's out till early May, so he might be back for the semi-finals. But Real Madrid just have that star quality still. I know Bellingham might have tailed off a tiny bit from his start, but he was so hot at the start of the season. I mean, he couldn't continue that pace. Vinicius Jr, obviously, Rodrigo, who recently apparently nearly joined Liverpool a few years back. But I personally, after seeing Real Madrid against Leipzig, there are massive holes in this Real Madrid team. And if Leipzig could bury their chances, a month and a half ago, then I think this would be Man City versus RB Leipzig, for the third time in the Champions League this year. But for me, it's Man City all the way. I think Pep knows what he's doing now. He's got the monkey off his back. And I personally think probably 2-0 at the Etihad, and then I think it's going to be an all-time classic at the Bernabeu, as it has been in recent years for the two of them. So that's all. I think it's such a good run of games, and it's been a bit of an iffy Champions League this year, but I think these 4 games are going to be massive. And out of the 4 games, I think Man City are going to win the Champions League again, and I'd love it if it was Arsenal versus Man City, because it'd be Pep versus Arteta, and to be fair, it'd be cool to see an English team win it. If Real Madrid win it again, Ancelotti is just, he's already an all-time great manager, but he is just so dominant in the Champions League. Out of the underdogs, are Barcelona an underdog if they win it? Probably yes, with the quality of their squads compared to other teams. Of course, Dortmund would be the biggest underdog, but even if they get through to the next height, there's no easy games in the semi-final. There won't be. If they get through Athletico Madrid, then they'll have to play Real, Man City, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, PSG, Barca. None of those teams you'd like to go up against, really. But yeah, Man City is my choice at the moment. It could change with the semi-finals coming up in a few weeks. But let me know what you think in the comments. If you could leave a like on the video, that'd be really appreciated. And yeah, it should be fun watching these games.